Good morning friends, and welcome back to the woods. Beautiful day today, bit nippy, but that's just fine. Gonna get a fire going and all will be well with the world. But we've had a really nasty storm blow through the UK this weekend. Storm Arwen. And when I came up the woods this morning, there's quite a few trees down. Check this out. And that's right next to camp. So if any of you are wondering why I never sleep here, that's the reason. It's quite exposed, and with a nasty northerly wind, that can happen, and it did the weekend. There's a plus here though, massive plus. That tree and a couple of others with it came down, and I'm pretty sure they brought down some dead standing as well. Saves me sawing and chopping. They're already down. So plenty of firewood for future visits. Also, one good thing, I can cut a chopping block out of that. Most of the stuff that's down here is a bit rotten. Mr. Wobbly, the chopping block, is no good. I'm fed up of using it. I get in loads of comments saying, get rid of that wet chopping log. So it's going. If I had my big saw today, I'd do it today, but I'll do it another day. It's green, obviously, so when I'll be using it for the first probably month or so, I'm really going to have to clean my axe after it. It'll be full of sap. But it's dry and it's not rotten, and that's the main thing. Now, another thing with having high winds, everything is nice and dry. And strangely enough, when I left home this morning, I thought to myself, I haven't lit the fire with a flint and steel for a while. So I put my flint and steel kit in. Soon as I walked into the woods, nice big pile of dead, dry ferns. Now, I'm not a big fan of lighting fire with ferns. I think they're pretty crappy, but that's what I'm going to use. Gathered some pretty good dry thin twigs as well. I'm going to use them. I'm going to relight the Siberian firelay from last week. There's the logs. I basically just let them go out. I put a little bit of water on them, stop them smoking, but I didn't saturate them. So that's what I'm going to do now, is build that up. The stalks I'll cut off. Awful stuff. I'm not going to mess about and use a small piece. I'm going to use a nice big piece. And this is actually my preferred striker. It's an old file. See what I mean about ferns not being good? Now I'm putting the splits right on top so the smoke dries them out a little bit. I think we'll call that lit. So here we go. Chat cloth, old file striker and a piece of flint. So you did notice how crappy ferns are for lighting fires, and they were bone dry. So if I'm lighting a fire with ferns, it needs a good coal in it, because it just doesn't want to catch like a nice tinder bundle of clematis or nice dry grass. Ferns aren't good. But it lit, and that's the main thing. Time to put the kettle on. I've come over to the Deadfall because I want to show you something. I checked it out a bit earlier. Take a look at this. First thing, got a nice dead stand in there, so that's plenty of firewood for me for a while. The main trunk of this tree, I'm going to have a section out of that in the next couple of weeks for my chopping block, 100%. The silky katana boy will be pressed into action. Check that out for a natural shelter. Bit of cleaning up. That'll be absolutely perfect. Unless it flings back up and you'll be squashed and dead. That is the only thing about root plate shelters. They are dangerous. If there's any chance of that flinging back up, you do not want to be sleeping under there. Now, in the past, a while back, about 2 years ago I think, I was giving myself a bit of a challenge, and I'd seen it with Joe Robb in it. And what it was, you make a bow drill set, light a fire with it, make char material with that, and then light the next fire with flint and steel. But you need to find that flint. Well, I thought find the flint. I think with other people who had already done it, they basically had a piece of flint to them. But there's another root plate behind me, and I managed to find some strikeable stone for that. It wasn't flint, it was some sort of quartz, and I did it that way, which I was quite pleased about. So I passed my test anyway. Now a lot of the rocks that are in here are like a sandstone, but there will be a few that you could do a striker light set with. They're not brilliant, but it does work. Yes. And up there, where are we? There. We've got some nice punk wood, so that would work good as well. So there's always a plus when a tree comes down. And for me here, there's a lot of pluses because, well, the main thing is I can cut myself a nice chopping block. That is the root plate. It's quite grown over now, but that's the one I got a piece of stone from before. If you look, that's where I cut my old chopping block from. But yeah, that is wet and a bit crappy. Where I am now is behind that big root plate, and there's a really sheltered spot here. And that would be excellent for a survival shelter. Yeah, the ground's not flat, but you've got that big root plate here, stop the wind, and it's usually a southwesterly where I live, but occasionally when you get a nasty wind, like what brought these down, that's a northerly. Yeah, so this is a lovely little spot, if it was flat. But then you can make a raised bed, because you've got all this wood come down. And I'm going back to camp now, and then I'm going to film another video, which I'm not going to do on this one. It'll be a separate video, and I'm going to be comparing two saws. The cheapest saw I could find, and one of my silkies. Right then folks, my pal Scott turned up, so we've been shooting the shit, as they say, having a good chat, and I just wanted to say thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time. A thumbs up is always appreciated. Ta-ra! Yeah, so if I'm doing it with right then folks, that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Start that again.